Just like Ben Smith had all of those videos in his garage working out in front of the refrigerator, we're going to have an entire channel dedicated to the training methodologies that led to the most dominant fitness kids in the world. Yo, do you guys remember what it was like growing up? I'm 30 years old, so I grew up in the 90s. And the big thing that I always say is anybody who's my age who's obsessed with Michael Jordan, it's like you barely even fucking remember Michael Jordan. He was winning his first championships and I was 3 years old. I couldn't comprehend the sport of basketball at that point. Now, if you're 30, 32, 34, I can kind of get on board with that, but when you're in the ages of like 26 to 28, it's like shut the fuck up. You don't even remember watching Michael Jordan play. At least I don't. I don't remember very much about my childhood, but what I do remember that it wasn't spent being incredibly active. I remember being on the swim team. That was a sport that I did, but I don't remember very much outside of that. I remember being obsessed with video games. I had like the little Game Boy and I loved that fucking thing. And for those of you who have been following along with everything that I kind of do, I was in Newport Beach 2 weeks ago and I got to meet the 3 playing brothers. Those are Sevan's kids. And damn is that different than what I experienced when I was growing up. So I got there on Thursday night and I sent him a text message. He said that we'd meet up the next morning. Texted him the next morning. I go, hey, what are you up to? He goes, nothing, we'll roll down. So he was staying a couple of blocks away from where Alexis and I were staying, and he wants to get his kids on the skateboard every single day. So that was an excuse for him to get them on the skateboard and come and see the place that we were staying at. So I'm standing over the balcony and I see the 3 little dudes rolling up. There's a 7-year-old, that's Avi, and then there are the 5-year-olds, and those are Joseph and Ari. They're twins. And I remember I wanted to ride a skateboard, but I didn't really want to ride a skateboard until I was like 8 or 9. And all of the 3 of them are under the age of 8, 7, and 2 5-year-olds. And already I was thinking, it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. And they're very good at it. They got their helmets on. They got all the gear on so they're not going to get hurt. And that was just the first of many experiences I had with the 3 playing brothers that were just kind of mind-blowing. And I don't know if I'm incredibly out of the ordinary here or I didn't have so much of an athletic upbringing or an active upbringing, but I don't think so because I also spent a lot of time in an affiliate. The members of an affiliate usually have kids around that age in the 2 to 8 range where they're either just born or they're upwards of starting to play some sports. But what I never saw amongst those children were an activity level as high as the 3 playing brothers. And that starts at the top. That had a lot to do with Sevan, and he wanted them to be active. Every single thing that they did, they turned into a game, and they always enjoyed doing it. And the reason I'm bringing a lot of this stuff up is because the other day, Sevan and I did a show, and I believe I asked how the little dudes were doing, and somehow the conversation developed into the YouTube channel that the little dudes have. And the YouTube channel was something that I had no idea about. So I spent a very long time. I mean, I've been making a video a day. I'm up over 200 for sure. I don't know exactly how many. And at this point in time, I try not to talk all that much about the things that I want to like talk about, promote. And Sevan is very much the same way. So I've been listening to every single fucking podcast that the dude has done for what, 5, 6, 7 years now. And I had no clue that he had a YouTube channel for his boys. But the YouTube channel for his boys is so cool. And I don't know if it's even more cool for me because I met them at the ages of 5 and 7. But I have an obsession with why people are the way that they are. So when I saw them riding up on their skateboards that one day, I was like, oh, that's cool. I wonder how they were able to do that. And then over the course of the weekend, you would see them do stuff like pull-ups. I'd put my arm out and they'd be able to do pull-ups on my arm, just kind of hanging off it like little monkeys. I made that Natty or Not on Justin Medeiros, and I was able to pinpoint each and every spot in his life and say, okay, this looks like something that would be some sort of a natural progression to the point where he is now the fittest man on earth. And all 3 of the boys have this awesome muscle definition structure for the ages of 5 and 7. You don't see that anywhere ever. What you see on most people their age is giant eyeballs so that they've adapted to the giant ass iPad screen that's always put in front of them. Alexis and I went out to eat yesterday and there's a couple of parents right there at a table with what looks like a fucking kiosk sitting in front of their child. It's like an iPad on a stand and it looks like you're going to Crumble Cookie and you're like trying to pick out the cookies you want just for the child right there with the big ass headphones on their head. Looks like this, and they're just like sitting on the freaking kiosk, which makes me think that most people had an upbringing similar to mine, but I think it's gone the wrong way so hard. It's an opinion of mine. I understand that it's hard to bring up your kids and maybe it's easier to give them the iPad. And I know that dogs are nowhere near as strenuous as children, but I've got 2 dogs. And if I spend too much time sitting in front of this computer or I have to go somewhere, all I can think about is the fact that the dogs are not being played with. They're not being brought on walks. She looked over when I said that. And what I can take away from the three playing brothers is that they've always been kept up with something to do. Sevan's garage is basically outfitted as a giant game room. He's got all the gymnastic stuff. He's got uneven bars. He's got all of these different levels of blocks. He's got slam balls for him. I'm on the page right now over here, and the first video is actually really freaking cool. It's just, well, first of all, this YouTube channel has like 1,000 freaking videos. If you ever recall watching the early day CrossFit videos where he's kind of following the athletes around, maybe doing a workout video, it looks a lot and seems a lot like that. And I was talking to Sevan on the freaking call after that podcast the other day. I go, dude, why have you never talked about this? This stuff is so cool. I know exactly why it is that your boys are so fucking cool at this point, and it's all on this channel. 3 years ago, 2-year-old parkour plyo box training. And it reminds me of the videos where you see the people throw their kids into the water and the kid floats on up. And there's something about seeing a 2-year-old like grab onto a box and then there's like yank itself up. That's just something you don't see ever. And then he titles a lot of these parkour, but you can see that they're in CrossFit HQ and they're like running up and down. They're playing around in all the equipment. And then he's got Avi doing all of this stuff on a park bench. He was showing me these videos in real time and he goes, yeah, he was just freestyling this stuff. And I can tell you that there's no chance in fuck that I was doing that when I was that age. Greatest 4-year-old jumper on the planet. 98 views. But I watch it and I'm amazed by the ability of this 4. I mean, like right now, if you told me to go do that, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to trip and fall and break my shit. And I guess I'm getting old. I'm 30 now. I don't want to hurt myself. And I'm looking at more of these, and you can see that as the videos progress, the weights are getting higher, so they're having to jump farther. They're getting a little bit more complex. He's got a video in here where he's teaching, I think it's Ari, how to throw a ball with his opposite hand. He's a righty, he's a righty, he's a righty. Now he's trying to teach him how to throw lefty. In my head, it's just like kind of a wiring of the brain. So now you're going to be ambidextrous. Who knows what that's going to carry over to as the years go on. This video for me was sparked by a jiu-jitsu tournament that Avi just participated in. And Avi's totally dominating this other kid in this match. And I remember one of the first things that he did is they were all choking me out. And it was Ari, and then it was Joseph. And then I've had experience like playing around, like wrestling around with kids. And at no point in time was I ever scared for my life. And before freaking Avi goes up, he goes, I want to try. Sevan goes, take it easy on him. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? It's going to be fine. And I went out. Avi choked me the fuck out. And then for the next couple of days, I had these like broken capillaries. Alexis, who's an esthetician, she notices everything that's wrong with my face. And she goes, you've got broken capillaries. What was wrong with you? And I go, dude, it's because Avi choked me out and I blacked out. So if he can choke out a 200-pound, 30-year-old dude, what do you think that this 7-year-old is going to be able to do to another 7-year-old when they're doing jiu-jitsu? Sevan told me a story on that call about how he had his boys just like kick a ball around the field. Like you get a soccer ball and you just kick it around the field and you just kind of go and you go and you go. And as long as they feel like it. And I think they ended up doing 5 laps around a soccer field, just like kicking the soccer ball. And then I thought of the people who I know who are my age, who spend a lot of time in a desk. There's like sitting here, they're typing, type. And if you said, hey, go kick this soccer ball around the soccer field 5 times without like taking too long of a break, they would bitch, they would complain, they wouldn't be able to do it. Do it! And this is stuff that's being ingrained in the 3 playing brothers in the fashion of a game from the ages of 0 until the point where they inevitably win the CrossFit Games, if it's still around when they're at the age in which they could win the CrossFit Games. Because if you were going to ask me, how does somebody become the champion of the CrossFit Games? And for a couple of years, it was the individual who had played the most sports. So you think of the people like the Rich Fronings, you think of the people like the Camille's who had won in the year 2013-14. And what you're going to take away from that is that Camille had the gymnastics background where they're very able to like keep up with the upper body endurance and they've got very good coordination. And then you think of Rich Froning, who played just about every sport under the sun. You know that from watching and keeping up with him. Maybe you read his book, maybe you saw the movie. And then the more modern day people who are killing the sport, you look at the Mal O'Brien, who came up doing CrossFit. You look at Justin Medeiros, who was a wrestler. And then he started CrossFit at what looked like the age of 16 or so. So it's younger and younger. And now you look at the 3 playing brothers, and what they're doing is they're basically doing CrossFit Kids. There was a seminar that was CrossFit Kids, and it was like, hey, you got a med ball? Pick the med ball up and put it down. See who can do the most in 2 minutes. And that was the kids' workout of the day, and the med ball was like 2 pounds. And they made it a game. It's like, okay, who did it? Okay, now take that med ball, put it over there, and then run back. And we're going to see how many times you can do that in 2 minutes. It wasn't anything crazy, but it was getting them going in the progressions that were constantly varied functional movements performed at what would be a high intensity. Because kids, they can work as hard as they want. It's like a dog. You say, go run as fast as you you can, and they're going to run as fast as they can until they can't, and then they're just done. So I told Sevan, I was like, dude, you got to start making videos again, because this is so cool. It's like, I would pay good money if I could just sit here and I could click a button and it was like $500. Let's see what Avi's like in 10 years, because I want to see what the 7-year-old who's fucking crazy fit, who can choke me out, who can do 10 pull-ups, who can run a mile without stopping at the age of 7, who has more muscle definition at the age of 7 than the 99% of males at the age of 17 have. I want to see what he looks like when he's 17. What can he do when he's 17? What's this kid's back squat going to be in 10 years? What's his deadlift? How many unbroken strict muscle-ups can this kid do? If he's doing 10 pull-ups on my arm, how many national championships has this kid won as a wrestler because he grew up doing jiu-jitsu? Working with his brothers, Ari and Joseph. You think about the community aspect of a CrossFit gym, and you hear Justin Medeiros recently talking about liking to work out with a partner and now girlfriend Ellie Turner. They push each other to get better. So not only is it about Avi and him being a fucking monster and choking me out, it's about his brothers, and they're going to be trying to keep up with their older brother. Think about the Panchicks, think about the Smith brothers, think about the Anderson brothers, but also think about the person who's teaching them, and that is Sevan, who has been indoctrinated into the CrossFit methodology longer than anybody, who has a garage outfitted to optimize the performance of these kids, and not really through the way where it's like, oh, it's like a freaking Rocky Balboa 4, and they're in the lab and they're going, no, they're just having fun. They're having a great time. They would ask me to do shit. They're like, hey, do you want to go do this? You want to go do that? I'm like, all right. Let's see how much I can do. And I couldn't keep up. So what I recommend everybody do is go check out that YouTube channel, click around. There are a bunch of 2 to 4 minute videos of the 3 playing brothers and a couple of their friends doing some stuff where it's like, hold your arms out to the side. Okay, good job. That was their workout of the day. It was just like a static hold with their arms, or they're just bouncing up between a couple of med balls. Like I said, it's amazing to me that this channel has a grand total of 100,000 views, and Sevan spent what looks like 4 years working on it. I don't know what the hell is going on in my comments section on the video I put yesterday, but there was some cryptocurrency thing. It's like, sign up for cryptocurrency. If I could put any amount of money down right now on one individual to win the CrossFit Games in the next 12 to 18 years, I would say that it would be Avi. And then if I were to take money on the next couple of individuals, it would be his brothers, Ari and Joseph. Hell, maybe there's going to be a clean sweep of the CrossFit Games podium in the year. What would it be? 2036? And it's just going to be the 3 playing brothers all winning the CrossFit Games. Just like Ben Smith had all of those videos in his garage working out in front of the refrigerator, we're going to have an entire channel dedicated to the training methodologies that led to the most dominant fitness kids in the world, the 3 playing brothers. Go watch the freaking videos. Andrew Hiller, out.